Hey, welcome. Today we're diving into some really powerful ideas from Ashish Reicher's work to answer a question that, let's be honest, we all ask. How do you figure out what to do next? When you're at a crossroads? All right, let's get right into it. I mean, we've all been there, right? You're staring down a huge decision about your career or a relationship, or just what's the next right step. It can seriously feel like you're trying to find your way in the dark. But what if guidance wasn't something you had to stumble around to find? What if it was actually something that's already been promised to you? So, the first big idea from our source material is that for believers, getting guidance isn't just some faint hope. It's a direct promise. And that totally flips the script, doesn't it? The question stops being, hey, is God even willing to guide me? And it becomes, okay, how do I get in a position to actually receive that guidance? Let's just zoom in on the wording here for a second. The author points out that the word ordered is so much more than just, arranged. It means directed, set up, made firm. It suggests that God is actively and personally involved. The idea isn't that he's just watching from a distance, but that he's actually, as one translation puts it, busying himself with every single step you take. And this promise is like a full-service package. The source breaks it down so well. Instruct means to make you wise, to give you skill. Teach is like someone literally pointing out the right road. And guide means to counsel you as you walk it. It's not just one thing. It's this complete personal direction for your journey. And this is where we come in. This verse hits on a super crucial point. Our own attitude, our posture really matters. According to this, having an attitude of reverence is basically the key that unlocks this guidance. The message is pretty clear. If we're genuinely seeking and honoring his will, the path is going to be made known to us. Okay, so if guidance is a promise, what does it actually look like in real life? Are there, rules of the road? Well, yeah, kinda. The source lays out some foundational truths that help us figure out what this guidance is and, just as importantly, what it isn't. Think of these three things as the guardrails on the highway. Any real guidance you get is never going to contradict God's holy nature. It's always going to line up with the scriptures, and it's going to be consistent with the promises he's already made. This is the framework, the filter, that keeps us from getting off track. And this really just captures the whole feeling of it, doesn't it? The journey is deeply personal. It's unique for every single one of us. But the message behind it is just so powerful. You're not walking this path by yourself. There's a guide available, right there with you. Now, let's talk about something that trips a lot of people up. Have you ever wondered if God has like a plan A and a plan B? His perfect will and then maybe a good enough will if you mess up? Well, the source material makes a really strong argument that that's not how it works at all. So this idea of having different tiers of God's will, it often comes from this one specific verse in the Bible that talks about his will being good, acceptable, and perfect. A lot of people read that and think, oh, okay, so there are three different options. But the author here presents a totally different way of looking at it. So here's the big insight. Good, acceptable, and perfect aren't three separate choices. They're three adjectives describing one single thing, God's will. It's like saying an apple is red, sweet, and crunchy. You're not talking about three different apples. You're just describing the one you're holding. The danger of believing in a permissive will, or a plan B, is that it can make us lazy and cause us to settle for something that's actually outside of God's best plan for us. So if there's one perfect will, and God has promised to guide us to it, what's our part in all this? Well, it's definitely not passive. The source really hammers home that receiving guidance is a partnership, and we have a very clear responsibility. It all boils down to these three simple, but honestly pretty profound actions. First, we have to actually seek it. We have to want it and ask for guidance. Second, we have to listen, and that means tuning our spiritual ears to hear his voice above all the other noise out there. And finally, we've got to have the courage to obey what we hear, which, that takes real faith and patience. And seeking isn't this rigid, one-size-fits-all thing. It can just be part of your daily rhythm. Saying a quick prayer for wisdom before a big meeting at work. Or when you're facing one of those massive life decisions, it might mean you need to set aside some serious, dedicated time to pray and reflect until you really get that sense of clarity. All right, so if we're doing our part, we're seeking, we're listening, what are we actually listening for? How does this whole communication thing even happen? Well, the source outlines a ton of different channels that God can use to speak and give us that guidance. What's so amazing about this list is just how comprehensive it is. I mean, it covers the things you'd expect, right? The Bible, the Holy Spirit. But it also includes the supernatural, like dreams and angels, and even the super practical stuff, like getting advice from a wise friend or just looking at your circumstances. The source material goes into detail on every single one, but this gives us a fantastic picture of all the different ways guidance can come our way. And really, that's the bottom line. According to this framework, guidance is a promise, and it's an active partnership. We have the foundation, so the final question really isn't for me, it's for you. With all these different ways he can speak, which voice are you tuning in to hear? What are you listening for on your journey?